Morning, everybody. So we have a real life international crisis brewing, and I'm not sure how it's going to end up. And it could be very bad for Southeast Asia. China has had their one China policy for the longest time, for decades. And that one China policy includes the islands that are in dispute, Hong Kong and Taiwan. Well, we see what's going on in Hong Kong. They, after quite a bit of struggle, they went back and they basically gained control of it through force. As they've said repeatedly, that force is an acceptable option to enforce their one China policy. And they, like I said, they've done that in Hong Kong. We've seen the riots, the fights, and everything else. And because of their superior strength, they pulled it off. Hong Kong will never be Hong Kong again. Hong Kong is now communist China. And Taiwan is next on their list. In previous years, the CCP has said that 2020 would be the year that they would bring Taiwan into the fray. Well, I think Hong Kong was more of a struggle than they thought it was going to be, and it's delayed them. And by the end of the year, or actually by the end of this month, invading Taiwan because of how the tides are and everything else is virtually impossible until spring of next year. But what China has done this week is they've moved J-20 aircraft, a number of missile launchers with their more advanced missiles, and a number of troops down closer to Taiwan in a pretty belligerent action. Now, the J-20 is supposedly a fifth generation, basically a stolen copy of the F-22, but it has nowhere near the capability of an F-22 and nowhere near the stealth. If it was to get into a dogfight with the F-22, it would die pretty quick. I'm not sure about the 35 because the 35 is not really a dogfighter, but the 35's got better equipment, better training, so I would give the edge to the 35. Where the J-20 does have advanced capability is their frontal stealth against something like a fourth generation F-16, F-20, F-15, that type of thing. Super Hornet 18. I'm not even sure how well it will do against them, but uh, you know, the fact is we really don't keep 22s in Asia. They are in Alaska. They can be in Asia fairly quick. But see, the United States, like every other major country in the world, doesn't recognize Taiwan as a country. We recognize them as Chinese. Now, since Trump has become president, he's opened up selling arms and provide support to Taiwan, but he hasn't committed. So the question would be, I don't think the question is whether China is going to invade Taiwan or not. I think that's going to happen regardless. The question is, what do we do as a nation? Do we protect Taiwan? Do we let China get away with it just like Korea? Do we just sit back and do nothing? And right now, if I'm Taiwanese, I'm scared to death about this election because if Trump's reelected, they know they have a chance. And more importantly, China's going to think twice about invading Taiwan. If Biden becomes president, China will not have a worry in the world. First of all, they know Biden would not react regardless. Second of all, they're going to own Biden. I seen a thing, and I haven't been able to collaborate it, so I don't even really like bringing it up. But it was a interview, and basically what it said was much like them videos that were on Hunter's hard drive of him having raunchy sex acts while smoking crack. They also showed that they mentioned that the Chinese have a number of videos, and they've shared them with the Bidens and Nancy Pelosi, and they've basically told Pelosi to win at any cost, any way possible, and then once you win, you're going to do our bidding. Normally, I would just kind of blow that off, but we have a lot of um, circumstantial evidence to suggest that this is very true, or at least very likely. But the one thing that we do know, without a fact, Biden will kowtow to Beijing. No doubt about that. Taiwan will no longer be Taiwan if Biden's elected. And I'm not even sure that Trump would intervene. You know, a lot of it would have to do with Japan and South Korea and the Philippines, because they would see that as a natural, um, a very deep threat to their national security. Because if China was to take control of Taiwan, it would be very easy to blockade Japan. And I think China, with their continuing diligence, we're gonna end up going to war there, or we're gonna let them take over Southeast Asia, and they're gonna control it. And I I don't fear the Chinese military. I think they're incompetent. I think their equipment is copycatted, um, inferior equipment. I'm not sure they know how to use it right. If the Chinese military ran by Communist Party major players is anything like Chinese business, then it's going to be one of the most incompetent militaries on the face of the earth. So, I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see. But this election is going to have major international consequences. And we're talking war with a nuclear power. It's not something to be taken lightly. All right, thank you. You all have a good day. Bye.